Breaking news, breaking news. Check it out. We're going to break this down about a female named Alexandra Nicks. She's go by the name OMB Bloodbath. That means only my brothers. Now, this is a female. Prosecutors got her down for running a gang. Let me just give you the breakdown on it, right? Her and her co-defendant, Shaquille O'Neal Richards, were convicted of murder in aid of racketeering and using a firearm to commit murder, right? Prosecutors alleged they directed lower-ranking members of the 103 gang to attack a rival in October 2017. The intended target survived, however, right? But an innocent bystander by the name of Samuel Johnson was killed. Nicks and Richards are scheduled to be sentenced on November 4th. First, she had a mistrial, and then she went back to court and just got found guilty. Looking at life, I want you to see how this whole thing play out. I'm gonna introduce you to somebody new. Just sit back, enjoy the ride. All right. All right, now we're getting ready to drop the jewels on this, right? But I want to play the news report so y'all understand what's going on, because y'all might not know about this. But like I said, this is about OMB Bloodbath, a female who they said was running a gang and orchestrated lower members to carry out acts of violence. Check it out.
Alexandra Nicks, otherwise known as OMB Bloodbath, she was very surprised when she was taken into custody inside a Harris County courtroom and then led into a holding area. Only our cameras were there as Nicks was arrested by bailiffs and taken to that holding area in the court. Now, according to court documents we've reviewed, Nicks is charged with directing activities of certain criminal street gangs. These are felony charges. According to those documents, Nicks is accused of unlawfully, as part of an identifiable leadership of a street gang, namely 100% 3rd Ward and 103, knowingly did finance, direct, and supervise the commission of the offense of murder, aggravated assault, and aggravated robbery by members of said criminal street gang. We're told that these charges dates back to an incident that happened in October of 2017. Now, according to police at the time, 4 men with rifles and an assault weapon shot 2 people in the 6800 block of London Street in southeast Houston. The men then crashed their car and proceeded to carjack a woman and her 11-month-old niece in a minivan. Sources telling us that the charges currently filed against Nicks are related to that crime that happened back in October of 2017.
Now, so that's what's going on with that, right? But now I want to give you one of my class lessons so y'all understand what's going on. Let's go. Now, I'm gonna tell you about one word that changed everything in this young lady's life. Guilty. That one word can make your knees weak. I know, because I stood in front of a judge and they said guilty, and I knew I was looking at life with no chance of parole. But then they tacked another 20 years on top of that. Now, that one word can turn a crowded courtroom into the loneliest place on earth. I felt all alone, abandoned. Where was my friends? Where was my parties? Where was Club 2000 as I stood there in front of the judge? Now, OMB Bloodbath just heard that word in federal court, the same as I did. And now she's facing the possibility of spending the rest of her life behind a wall. But listen carefully, class. The government did not say she was standing in the street holding a weapon. Their case was deeply, and very deeper than that. Prosecutors said she helped direct the mission. They said she helped create the circumstances that sent other people out there to carry out the mission. The intended target survived, but Samuel Johnson, an innocent man, lost his life. And this is where the street lesson turns into the federal lesson. And that's what we hear about over here at Unique Mecca Audio. In the streets, a person might say, I wasn't there. I didn't shoot. That wasn't my weapon. But the government may answer, you helped create the mission. And when the mission ends with somebody dead, everybody connected to it may be forced to answer for the consequences. Like I said, I spent 26 years inside a federal prison. And I'm telling you from lived experience, the most dangerous position is not always being the person holding the weapon. Sometimes the most dangerous position is being the person the government calls the leader. I was charged with 848, 21 USC 848, which is the kingpin law, which stands for continual criminal enterprise, just so you understand. Let me give you the jewel on that, Ron. You don't have to pull the trigger for the government to argue that your decisions help pull people towards the tragedy. Now, we ride. The first jury did not free her. Now, let's slow this down for a minute. Her first federal trial ended without a verdict. The jurors could not agree. That's what they call the mistrial. And when people hear mistrial, they sometimes think she beat it. No, she did not beat it. The government simply did not get a final answer from the jury. And federal prosecutors came back again. A new jury, new deliberations, same life on the line. Think about the emotional pressure of surviving one trial, only to realize you have to walk through the same fire again. That's what this young lady, OMB Bloodbath, had to deal with. You hear the witnesses again. You hear the recordings again. You watch the government rebuild its story again. And every night you return to the cell without knowing how the next jury will see the evidence this time. That weight will attack your mind. 1 minute you're convinced. You convince yourself you're going home. The next minute, you picture yourself growing old behind a concrete wall. But the second time around, the uncertainty ended. The jury returned a guilty verdict. That's when hope can turn into shock in a matter of seconds. A mistrial is not an acquittal. When the government still has the legal right to return, temporary relief can become another round of fear, because she had to go through the fear all over again. The innocent man who never joined the war. Let's talk about that now. Now, class, we have to say his name. Samuel Jackson. That's the innocent man that was a bystander that was hit by a stray bullet. Because once celebrity and rappers and federal charges enter the conversation, the innocent victim can disappear behind the headlines. No one even talks about Samuel Jackson. Now, Samuel Johnson, corrected myself, was not described as the intended target. He was an innocent bystander, a man caught inside somebody else's conflict, somebody else's beef. That's the part the streets never put in the music video. The person who had nothing to do with the argument, the family that receives the terrible phone call, the empty chair that stays empty forever because Samuel Johnson would no longer physically sit in that chair. People talk about retaliation like it stays between two sides. But once bullets do not understand loyalty, I want you to understand. We had an old saying back in the day, right? Let's ride. We had an old saying back in the day that went, you know, bullets don't have no name on it. Because once they leave the barrel, you don't know who it's going to hit. And that's why I can't stand the flip-flop wearing in public trolls. And of course, the rat bastards, you know, because you out there with flip-flops and say nothing is going to happen. It's safe. I'm good. And then you caught up in an incident like this and God forbid wind up like Samuel Johnson. And that's what we're talking about. Once violence gets released, nobody controls where the consequences land. And an innocent man paid the highest price, and I try and prevent y'all from being that innocent man or woman paying that ultimate price from being out there in flip-flops thinking that it's cool. It's fashion. This is why I would never glorify the streets, because the streets don't only punish the people who volunteer, they bury people who never signed up. Rest in peace to Samuel Johnson. When you release violence into the community, you surrender control over who gets hurt, but you don't surrender the responsibility for the damage. And you know we like to ride. Let's go. The government's leadership theory. This is how the government classified OMB Bloodbath, which stands for Only My Brothers, as the leader. This case is bigger than one weapon. It's bigger than one car. It's bigger than one person standing at the scene. Prosecutors presented OMB Bloodbath and Richards as alleged leaders of the 103 gang. They argued that lower ranking members carried out the attack under their direction. And that word leader sounds powerful until the indictment arrives. On the street, everybody wanted to be the leader. In the courtroom, they all say it wasn't me, it was him, it was her. Everybody wants influence when the room is cheering. But when the government says your influence helped cause a murder, that same title can become evidence. The person at the top may believe distance protects them. They may believe not being physically present creates separation, but conspiracy law can connect people through instructions, agreements, communications, and shared objectives. That's why I teach the youth, be careful who you allow to call you boss. Be careful who moves in your name. Be careful what you approve. Be careful what you encourage. Because when somebody commits violence while claiming they acted for you, the government may come looking for more than the person at the scene. And that's what we have playing out right now in the Lil Durk case. Same scenario. I will be doing a video on Lil Durk about this. Same scenario. They got him as the leader. They hold him responsible. They said he wasn't there, but he orchestrated the movement. Now, let's get the jewels in there. Leadership without discipline is not power. It's exposure multiplied by every person willing to act in your name. Let's go. We ride now. We ride. Hold up. We ride. Now, the phone does not believe in street code. Let me explain that. Don't expect the phone not to take the stand. Don't expect the phone not to tell on you. Don't expect the phone to reveal the personal texts that you put into it because you thought that was your intimate friend. Oh, that's your biggest witness you carrying around in your back pocket. That's your witness for everywhere you stepped, how many steps you took, who you talked to, who you text, who you got pictures from, who you send pictures to. The data. Let me give you the Unique Mecca Audio translation of that, right? The street says, keep it quiet. The phone says, I already saved it. The street says, nobody heard us. It was just me and you, so this is gonna stay between me and you, right? You heard Pooh Shiesty himself say to Gucci Man when he allegedly had the pistol on him, we ain't never went to the police, right? But the camera didn't have that agreement. The jail recording says, press play, right? Now, the streets say the conversation was private. The federal courtroom says, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, evidence presented across these proceedings included recorded jail calls, messages, surveillance material, and other digital evidence. The prosecution used those materials to support its theory that Nicks and Richards helped organize the retaliation. The defense disputed that interpretation and argued the proof did not establish that they ordered the shooting. See how complicated and simple this get all at the same time? Understand something here, Ron. A phone is not your friend. A jail telephone is definitely not your friend. And a message that takes 5 seconds to send can sit inside evidence storage for years and decades. You may forget the words, the system does not. You may change your life, the recording does not change. You can change phones, phone numbers, it's still there. You may outgrow the moment, but the government can bring the moment back into the courtroom at full volume. And now the jury's listening to your own words. You just seen, who was that one the rapper was arguing, Keefe D was arguing not to have them play the tape of him confessing to the police. But he had no problem with them putting in the transcripts. That's because the jury reading his words hit different than the jury hearing his words. And that's why this technology, as much as we love it, it became a part of our life and we feel like we can't do without it, it will be the death of us. Let's go. Technology does not honor street code. Every careless word can become a witness that never gets tired, scared, or forget, or even forgetful. We ride. I'm gonna take you to the dark psychological cell. We're gonna ride into the dark psychological cell real quick. Now let's go. Where the news cameras cannot go. I'm gonna take you in that dark psychological cell. Inside the mind, after the verdict, is the dark psychological cell. I'm not claiming to know exactly what OMB Bloodbath is thinking, but I know what a person in that position may experience from my lived experience. The courtroom door closes. The lawyers stop talking, the family goes home, the cameras move to another story. But the convicted person returns to the cell. Same steel, same concrete, same fluorescent light, different future. Before the verdict, Ron, the mind could still bargain. Your mind is bargaining with you before the verdict. Man, if I win this, I'm gonna do this, man. I swear to God, I'm gonna do this. How many of y'all put in the comments? You know what I mean? How many of y'all, as soon as you get in trouble, first thing you say is, man, I swear to God, you get me out of this, I ain't gonna do it again. I swear to God, I ain't gonna break the law no more. Put it in the comments. Now, like I said, before the verdict, the mind could still, bargain. Maybe the jury sees it differently. Maybe one person holds out. Maybe I get another chance. But after the guilty, the mind starts calculating years. How old will I be? Who will I visit? Who will visit me? Will my children remember me? Will my mother live to see me come home? And sentencing is still a month away. And let's ride on that. I went to jail. My mother was in her late 50s. I come out of jail and the woman is 80-something years old. 80-something years old, walking with a walker. I didn't see her for 18 years while in the prison because of my actions, my foolish actions. And the one time she came to see me, after she came to see me and sat down before the visit was over, she looked at me and said, baby, I didn't raise you for this. You found a way to get into this trouble. Now you need to find a way to get out. And I know she meant on man time, not backdooring nothing. So I went back and I hit the library and I fought and I prayed, and she prayed, the family prayed, the kids prayed, everybody was doing time with me praying. And then the Honorable Donald Trump came in and signed in the First Step Act, giving the judges back the power if you sentenced to cocaine base. And you feel that the judge gave you too much time, or if the judge said on the record that he gave you too much time, then you could go back and ask the judge to re-sentence you, being that Donald Trump freed their hands. But Donald Trump didn't just give it to us and throw it out there. They said that there was criteria to be met. We had to program, we had to do this and that. Well, while I was in there, I already knew that you can't put 20 pounds of rice in a 5-pound bag because it's gonna overflow, and it don't matter who gets there first. The bag is gonna bust, and you wanna be one of those that get free. So I knew that the prison system was gonna bust. So what I did was I started going to the law library. I started taking courses. I became a plumber, a mechanic, a HVAC and refrigeration specialist. I got my trade degree in all of that. Electrician, mechanic, culinary arts cook. I cooked my own meal last night in my own kitchen on my own stove, and I was supposed to die in prison cooking it with a stinger and a paint bucket in a plastic bag. But I'm using pots. And I'm using a stove for fire instead of a stinger. The other day, I heat up a cup of water for some tea and I put it in the microwave. It was no longer being locked in a cell and having to take a roll of toilet paper and pull it inside out to get the flame up and put it over the toilet and damp it a little bit and then light the middle and let the fire go down and burn slow so you could hold a milk container with a string. I'm gonna do a video if y'all wanna see it. I'll show you what it looked like. Imagine holding one of those little milk containers and you got a piece of string on each side and you're holding it over a roll of toilet paper that's burning on your toilet seat so you can have your hot cup of coffee for the morning. That's how I was living. That's how I'm trying to prevent you from living. That's how OMB Bloodbath is about to live. Now, if y'all got any ideas what y'all want me to talk about as far as what lessons you want or whatever stories you want, let me know, put it in the comments, right? Now, check it out, right? Now, and so the punishment begins before the judge announces the final punishment. You're already punishing yourself, wondering what's gonna happen. November 4th is not just a date on the court calendar. For a person facing life, it can become a clock hanging inside your mind for OMG Bloodbath. November 4th is when she gets sentenced. And that's gonna haunt her. Now, prison does not begin with the first night in a penitentiary. Sometimes it begins the moment hope is replaced by a number of years. Think about that. And remember, we ride. We ride. The people around you keep living, right? I'm gonna tell you how the people around you keep living while you're sitting in there doing decades, while I sat in there doing decades. Here's another part people rarely discuss. The world keeps moving, music keeps dropping, people keep touring, social media keeps refreshing. Your friends celebrate birthdays, your children get older, relationships change, new artists take your position. Because OMB Bloodbath was a big artist down there doing a thing. But inside, time becomes repetition. Means over and over. Same day time, every day, count time, child time, lockdown, count again. That is why fame cannot protect your mind from prison reality. The officer does not care how many streams you had. The cell door does not care who followed you. The sentence does not care how important you once felt. When I entered prison, the outside world continued without asking my permission. Kids grew up without me. Mother grew old without me. friends got married and met with new relationships and went to parties and clubs and dinners and dates and beaches and vacation, all without me. That is one of the hardest truths a person must accept. You can be unforgettable to the people who love you, while the industry learns to live without you by putting out another star. Now, we dealing with the jewel, right? Let's deal with the jewel. Popularity make the world watch you enter prison, but it cannot make the world stop until you return, because time must keep ticking. All right, let's go. Now, we're gonna talk about street title becomes a courtroom label. We're gonna talk about how the street title becomes a courtroom label. Thank y'all for coming to class. Let me give y'all a round of applause. All right. Relax. Chill out. Hey, y'all, just so y'all know, right? I'm certified. I got the 100,000 plaque and all that. I know my joint is fire, what I'm doing, but the only way to get it out is for y'all to hit the like button, y'all to put a comment, y'all hit the hype button. That's how you push it forward now. They told me that my little 100,000 don't mean nothing. Out the window, you know? So now I need you. Let's get this going. On the street, being called the leader may feed your ego. In federal court, being labeled a leader can increase the weight of the government's theory. Now, that's the trap. The same reputation that earned you fair outside can create danger inside the courtroom. Every person around you becomes a connection. Every communication becomes a possible exhibit. Every act of violence becomes part of a larger picture. And prosecutors do not have to describe you the way your friends describe you. They got a whole nother vision of you. Your friends may call you loyal. The government may call you an organizer. Your friends may call you powerful. The government may call you a leader of an enterprise. And once that label reaches a jury, your image may stop being entertainment. It may become context. Young people, I want you to hear me and hear me well right now. Do not build a reputation that requires other people to destroy themselves to prove they respect you. That's not leadership. That's a funeral procession moving towards a federal courtroom. Now, pay attention to the jewel, because I always give y'all jewels. You know it. Let's keep it moving. Let's go on the other side. Let's go on the other side real quick. Never accept a crown that is built from other people's crimes. When the kingdom falls, the government usually looks towards the throne. Now, right? Because what we doing, we riding, right? We riding. Now we're going to talk about accountability, because like I said, I apologize for poisoning my community, because you must begin with accountability. Now, class, accountability does not mean celebrating somebody's downfall. I do not celebrate a young person's possible losing the rest of their natural life in prison. I do not celebrate another family being divided. I don't celebrate another person in prison laying in one of those prison bunks. We don't need those beds filled up. Now, but compassion does not require us to ignore Samuel Johnson that lost his life. See, we gotta come back to Samuel Johnson. Compassion does not require us to pretend choices have no consequences. We can recognize the humanity of the convicted while also recognizing the permanent harm suffered by the victim's family that they have to live with forever now. Two things can be true. A person may still have value as a human being, and that person may still be accountable under the law. Now, that is maturity. Not cheering, not making excuses, looking directly at the consequences. Now, everything comes back to a jewel. Accountability without humanity becomes cruelty, but humanity without accountability becomes permission for the destruction to continue. Now we're gonna talk about November 4th. Let's ride into that. Okay, I hope y'all enjoying. Yo, make sure you already know, hit the like button and all. But something else I wanted to say. Oh yeah, you already know, cop the book of Roy and Harlem. You know what I mean? Cop my man book, you know, by Fabi Money Men. You know, and I got one more. So I'm giving y'all the book club here right now. This is a gangsters book club. Y'all want to know what books to go get. And this one right here, prison story by a brother named Mike Wood, been in federal prison and state prison combined all at once, never went home. Michael Wood, read this. Everything you wanted to know about prison, but were afraid to ask. Michael Wood has been in prison 50 years. Figure that out. And I had the honor and pleasure of doing time with a man like that. And I learned a lot from him, and he learned a lot from me. 50 years he's been in prison. Right now, 52 years. And he's still fighting for his freedom. So that's why I'm gonna tell you about dates, right? November 4th, that's the sentencing, right? That is the scheduled sentencing date for OMB Bloodbath and Shaquille O'Neal Richards. They face the possibility of life in federal prison. I know what that's like. Until then, every sunrise brings them one day closer to hearing the judge's decision. Every sunrise that we look forward to, they dread, because it brings them closer to that sentencing date. Right now, they're a free man that's locked up. Once they get that life sentence, now they're a dead man, buried alive. Now, right? That is the special kind of pressure right there. You cannot outrun the date. You cannot argue with the calendar. You wake up and the number gets closer, the days get closer. The defense may continue fighting through available legal procedures. But as of right now, the verdict stands guilty. And for everybody watching, do not reduce this to gossip, because this is a young lady and a young man that's getting ready to lose the rest of their life. Do not reduce to another rapper in trouble. Use this as a warning. One conversation can become evidence. One act of approval can become an allegation of leadership. One mission can kill an innocent person. Rest in peace, Samuel Johnson. One verdict can erase your future. The streets are real, but prison is realer. And no title, no reputation, no record deals, and no amount of respect is worth dying in a federal cell. Gotta give the jewel. The smartest leader is not the person who can send people into danger. The smartest leader is the person strong enough to stop the danger before everyone loses. Now, I'm gonna ride into the final verdict. Been on here long enough, right? Now, let me tell y'all this too, right? Yeah, I like to give my little messages. If y'all want to send the video in, let them know what you getting from Unique Mecca Audio. Hold your phone like this sideways. I'm gonna play some videos at the end of some people that sent in their videos and I ran into on the street. Send the video to the number on the screen, 917-680-9091. I answer that for real. Let's keep this moving. Now, where was we at? We was riding to my final verdict, right? That's where we at. Now, class is in session. OMB Bloodbath went through one jury that could not agree on a verdict. That was the first mistrial. The federal government returned and said, nah, it ain't over yet. We get a second chance. So they bring in the second jury and they reach the verdict. And now November 4th could determine whether she ever experiences freedom again. But remember, OMB Bloodbath is the doorway into this conversation. This is not the entire lesson. The real lesson is for the person watching who believes distance creates innocence. The person who says, I only gave the word. I didn't pull the trigger. I only sent the message. I only paid for it to get done. I wasn't physically there. These are the things that they hold in Little Dirk for. They got many more coming behind them, before him and after him, and a whole nine. Federal conspiracy law can reach beyond the scene. Meaning just because you wasn't on the scene, you allegedly paid him over here, you allegedly told him what to do over here 5 states away, you allegedly just told him on the phone. The federal conspiracy law can reach beyond the scene of the crime and use everybody connected in order to make it happen. Beyond the weapon, beyond the person who physically carried out the act. So before you encourage somebody to risk their life or take somebody else's because you don't want to deal with the consequences, know that karma is a biatch and it will come back to get you. Picture the courtroom. Picture the victim's family. Picture November 4th. Picture the judge looking down from the bench over his little rimmed glasses as he screws his nose up and look at you like you're trash. And that guilty verdict says that he's not too far from his assessment. My prosecutor called me a scumbag. He said I would forever be a criminal and I will forever be a loser. And if they didn't give me life in jail and I was to do 20, 30 years, in 20 or 30 years, if they had spaceships out there that I'll figure out a way to hijack them or what they call it now, or scam them. But I didn't do none of that. Those words haunted me, so I make sure I stay on the right path. I'm not gonna give them the right or the satisfaction to say, I told you so. Not the Unique Mecca Audio. And now ask yourself, right? Is one moment of power worth a lifetime with no control over your own door? Let me hear your verdict, man. Matter of fact, class is dismissed. I'm done with this. I'm done with this. Hold up. I want y'all to see why I do this, man. Check this out.
Hey, what's going on, man? Murder Mook, Harlem, you know what it is, man. I just want to express how much gratitude I got for Unique, you know what I mean? I was telling him a story, telling him how I felt about, if anything was to go wrong with my career, rap-wise, if, should be slow, and I got so many opportunities to be able to do the wrong shit. When I watch Unique Mecca Audio, I feel it, and to my soul, and that's keeping me farthest away from doing anything criminal. Anything criminal. He made me think straight, honestly. Made me think straight, because I've been watching him for about a year, like a year now, maybe, and it just took my mind way off of that. From a year ago, it got rough. For a year ago,
Yeah.
and from watching this man, I just felt like you saved me. You saved me. And I just want to show my gratitude, and I want to say thank you, man. Unique Mecca Audio, anything you need, brother, from me.
All right.
Anything you need, man.
All right.
Call 'em.
And I had the mic off. I'm mad I had the mic off. I'm mad I had the mic off. So I gotta go back over here, right? We're gonna go back to this jewel right here. We gotta go back to the jewel. I think we're gonna talk from the second jewel, right? Man, that's my bag, y'all. That's my bag. It's on now. Did a hung jury prove there was a reasonable doubt? That's the question. Did a hung jury prove there was a reasonable doubt? Because she had a hung jury the first trial. It proved the first jury could not reach a unanimous verdict. It was not an acquittal, and it did not legally establish innocence. The second jury evaluated the same evidence plus some, because they was allowed to go into her cell phone. They wasn't allowed to go in before the first trial. And they convicted both defendants. And the jewel in that is, a temporary legal escape is not permanent freedom when the government is permitted to try again. Now, right, something I wanted to say about that when I got excited about it, I forgot what it is, you know what I mean? Oh yeah, we're gonna ride. I want to ride. Now, check it out, Rob. I was sentenced to and found guilty the 848 kingpin, conspiracy to the 848 kingpin, and conspiracy to money launder. Now, the conspiracy to the 848 and the 848 is really the same, but the government charged you with both of them. So if you beat being the kingpin, being the leader, they could still have the jury find you guilty of participating as a lower level person, just carrying out individual activities to break the law. So now I get found guilty on both of them, so that now you could file to the appellate court. You file to the appellate court and you tell them it's double jeopardy because the conspiracy and the kingpin charge is one and the same, because the conspiracy is just saying that you conspired in the kingpin indictment, which is the same indictment, the same charge for the same acts. They agree with you. So you get back at things saying conspiracy vacated, but then you're still sitting there looking at life for the kingpin. So that's the temporary legal escape. That's not a permanent freedom when the government is permitted to try again, and that trying again was the kingpin charge that they found me guilty on. Should federal prosecutors have been allowed to retry the case after the jury could not reach a verdict in the first case? That's what you call a mistrial, class. Put it in the comments. After a mistrial caused by a deadlocked jury, the government can generally retry the defendant without violating double jeopardy protections. Whether people believe that is fair emotionally is a separate debate that y'all can have in the comments. Now, the jewel in that is, the law and the public's sense of fairness do not always arrive at the same conclusion. Now, was her biggest mistake trusting people or trusting the phone? Put that in the comments. Was her biggest mistake trusting her people or trusting the phone? The deeper mistake would be participating and encouraging destructive conduct at all. Let's get that on the table, because we in class. The phone did not create the conduct. The phone allegedly preserved communications connected to it. And the jewel in that is, evidence exposes the decision, but the decision came first. Now, we ride. We halfway through the questions. Thank y'all for staying over, class. Should rap lyrics and videos be used in criminal trials? Do you think that they should be allowed to use rap videos and the lyrics in a criminal trial? Artistic expression alone should not automatically be treated as a confession. If that's the case, why didn't the men that wrote Goodfella get locked up? Godfather get locked up. Heat get locked up. That was their artistic expression, just like it's the rapper's artistic expression. Put it in the comments if you feel it's different. You agree, don't agree? Let me hear what you think, class. But prosecutors may argue that specific material provides context when connected to independent evidence. Courts must carefully distinguish creative performance from proof. And the jewel in that is, art should not equal guilt, but people must understand that prosecutors may still try to connect art to real world evidence. Now, does being labeled a gang leader make it harder to receive a fair trial, in your opinion? A leadership label can strongly influence how jurors interpret evidence. That's why the government must prove the charges beyond a reasonable doubt, and the defense must challenge unsupported assumptions, like a chain of command. Reputation can enter the courtroom before the defendant speaks, which is why evidence must remain more important than the image of the person. Who carries more responsibility? The person who gives the order or the person who follows it? In your opinion, who carries the most responsibility? The person that gives the order, the person that follows it? Both make independent choices. The person directing evidence creates the mission, the person carrying it out, he chooses to complete it. Leadership does not erase the follower's responsibilities, and obedience does not erase the leader's responsibility. Now, the jewel in that is, I was following orders and I never touched a weapon. Can both fail when innocent blood is the result? And rest in peace again to Samuel Johnson. Should an innocent bystander's death automatically increase someone's punishment? Do you think because someone died that should increase their punishment? When people deliberately create a deadly situation, the law may hold them responsible for the death that follows, even when the victim was not the intended target. And like I said, I didn't mean to shoot him, so I didn't try to kill him. So why are you charging me with first-degree murder? You know, I was trying to kill him, but he got killed. That wasn't my target. But the law says he's still dead. The precise liability depends on the charges, the evidence, and the legal instructions. And the jewel in that is, you may choose the conflict, but you cannot choose where every consequence may land. You don't know where that consequence may land. All right? Can prison create change after a person receives life? Do you think that OMG Bloodbath can change now that she's looking at receiving life? Yes, a sentence can restrict freedom without eliminating a person's ability to learn, accept responsibility, help others, and grow spiritually. Growth does not undo the harm, but it can prevent more harm in the future if that person can grow. And the jewel in that is, redemption cannot rewrite yesterday, but it can change what a person contributes tomorrow. Now, final question. What's the biggest lesson young people should take from this conviction? What do you think is the biggest lesson young people should take from this conviction? Never let ego convince you that controlling other people makes you powerful. Never send someone to do something you would not want replayed in a federal court. And never assume that being away from the scene means the consequences cannot reach you. Now, the jewelry in that, right? The order may travel through another person, but the consequences can travel all the way back to that very person. Now, I've been on here long enough. Thank y'all for coming. Oh, yeah. I promised to show y'all a couple of the videos. Like I said, if y'all want to get in the video, if y'all want to be showed, just send me a joint. This is a young lady that I met that, sent me a video. You got to hold your phone like this, send it to the number on the screen. But this is a young lady that I met. I'm going to have to share this with you. All right.
I just want to give a shout out to Unique Mecca Audio. He is so dope. I had the experience of actually meeting him in person. I've been a fan for 2 years, watching his story and watching his videos on YouTube. He is the bomb.com, Harlem, legendary, kingpin, real, official. As soon as I sat down by him, I knew like it was like a different energy, a different vibe. But then once I hear his voice, I'm like, oh my God, is that him? I'm all fanned out. Like, you know, it was such an experience getting the chance to meet him and, you know, being a fan of his YouTube channel and just following him for the last 2 years and knowing his story and seeing his interviews. And I support him 1000%. And I'm subscribed to his YouTube. You should go and subscribe as well. Amazing, amazing.
Here with the OGs, you already know. Yeah. Unique Mecca Audio. If you ain't tapped into Unique Mecca Audio, I don't know what you tapped into. I'm talking about real streets. I'm talking about real entertainment. I'm talking about real YouTubing, real getting to that bag. I'm talking about a real OG that changed their life, yo. I changed my life the same way. And real OGs like that push me further to change my life. You hear me? Come look. Look what's going on out here. This Harlem. I'm a Brooklyn boy. So I only tap in with OGs like Mecca, man. Because I'm telling you, if you're not tapping in Unique Mecca Audio, I don't know what you're doing, man. Show them the scene, OG. They playing themselves. Congratulations, you played yourself. Unique Mecca Audio. Make sure y'all tap in, man. I'm telling you.
What's going on, people? What's going on, man? You got your boy Lodestone out here in Harlem. I'm from the BX. I'm with Unique Mecca Audio. You know what I'm saying? It's a good vibe with the OG. I advise everybody, if you want to hear real spill, real shit, no cap, tune in. Tune in and hear what the OG got to say, man. You know what I'm saying? He's gonna give you all the truth, man. He's gonna give you that real shit, man.
Hi, I watch Unique Mecca's YouTube and it's amazing. Like his whole story is so nostalgic. It's so like Harlem. It's so like 1980s. It's so 1999. I've been watching his channel for about 2 years and it's very informative and it's real. You know, you don't really get the real deal from everybody, but with him, you definitely gonna get the whole real story. This is a Harlem legend, kingpin, legendary. I'm so happy to just even meet him and be in his presence. Like his channel is very informal, and if you subscribe, you're gonna be just like me, a fan.
Alright.
I'm like, oh my God, is that him? I'm all fanned out. Like, you know, it was such an experience getting the chance to meet him and, you know, being a fan of his YouTube channel and just following him for the last 2 years and knowing his story and seeing his interviews. And I support him 1000%. And I'm subscribed to his YouTube. You should go and subscribe as well. Amazing. History, how hard it is to be in jail, the right and wrong moves to make when you outside, how one wrong move will cost you a whole lot, to be better, to do better, a lot of stuff. You'll get a lot of stuff from his channel, you know? It's very informal, and you know, whatever that means to you, you'll definitely take a piece with you. Like, this is a good YouTube channel, honestly.
Who you on, where they can find you?
Okay, I'm Cora. You can find me at Instagram on Why Hate on Her, and yeah.
Let's go. Hey, yo, tune in to Mecca Audio, man. Unique, man. Listen, man. I'm a young OG. I knew him since I was young. I used to be in Mecca Audio Studios. Great, man. I'm Ra from Tupac Me Against the World albums. You can check my credentials. This is a good man, real man. Mecca Audio. I've been on this, man, since I was a little young lad, man. Before Tupac album, before I even did the outlaw shit and all that, man. Holla at me, man. And tune in to Mecca Audio Unique, man. Holla at us, man. All right. You know.
What's good, y'all? This New York Chuck. Yeah, and this Erupt One. Yo, you know, we just here, we out here in Harlem, you know what I'm saying? We out here, you know, Rock birthday party. You know, but this party right here brought out a lot of people, you know what I'm saying? And one of the people that this party brought out was like a cornerstone in Harlem, like, you know, I'm talking about with the music, getting money, doing all, and, you know, actually, like a lot of us, we took a page out of his book, you know, to get where we came where we became in life, you know what I'm saying? But I'm gonna shout my guy out. Shout out to Unique Mecca Audio. You know what I'm saying? He bring y'all real street knowledge. He got all the gangsters on his pod. We Harlem, we the streets. You know what I'm saying? Tune in to Mecca Audio TV, man.
No
on
doubt,
YouTube.
no doubt.
On God, yo. One love with Unique, man. We love
Shout
you,
out
bro.
to Harlem, shout out to Jersey.
Cheers, cheers, toast the crime, toast the crime, the crime, the crime, the crime.
What?
Fresh out the can of 26,
yeah.
He back on the strip, getting back in the mix.
Yeah.
What he mentions a gift.
Right.
You stand up 10 toes down, and I suggest you pay attention to this.
Real.
Take a little gully posse and put it in Harlem. He cut from the bottom, came up from the bottom. Drop the book, you should go and get it. The Instagram page and the YouTube, you could go and visit.
Yeah.
Then you could consider yourself LinkedIn.
Real.
Sit front row and get Jews from a kingpin. How he went through it, so you ain't gotta go do it. To not pay attention would be stupid. Talking about a man that probably put your grandfather on. Probably the reason that him and your grams got along. A man that generated millions on the block, did his time, never squilling to the cops. Mecca Audio. Get it live like 2 G's in the 90s. Drop top beamer so shiny. I let shorty go, she was whining. Treat her like my past, she behind me. Spin a couple bands on the Dapper Dan. You be back again, getting green like a Packers fan. No cap, it's a raw in Uptown. They be horn Uptown, Dominican bust downs. Now we on the positive, we got a lot to give. Now he trying to stop the kids from being inoperative. So take heed, homie, lend an ear. He started in Uptown, he gon' finish dead. But now it ain't about selling drugs, buying cars. It's about buying property to make the community ours. So we can give back to the